Since the release of Shrouded Fable, everyone knew that Dusknoir was going to be a strong card, with a unique effect that lets it knock itself out and place 13 damage counters on your opponent's Pokémon, and paired nicely with Charizard EX and its Burning Darkness attack. However, with the release of Stellar Crown, we have a whole new beast in front of us. With the addition of Briar, Noctowl, and Fan Rotom, the Terapagos Dusknoir deck can pull off some ridiculously powerful combos with a high level of consistency. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about this Terapagos Dusknoir deck, why I think it's so broken, what cards I think you should be playing, and how I think you should play the deck. Before I get into the specifics of how this deck operates, I'm going to be doing a brief overview of the list. Starting off, we have a 4-4 Noctowl line. I've seen a lot of lists only playing 3-3. I think people are crazy for doing that. You really need to be able to set up not only 2 Noctowls on the second turn of the game, but additional Noctowls on following turns in order to pull off powerful combo plays. Especially if you prize even one Hoot Hoot and you're down to 2, that's a disaster, so running the full 4-4 count. 302 Dusknoir, no Dusclops in the deck. I think that normally when you pop your Dusknoir, you want to be getting a prize card of value, whether that means using 2 Dusknoirs to knock out a 2 prize Pokemon or 1 Dusknoir to knock out a 1 prize Pokemon. Dusclops can't really do that. There's not very many Pokemon with 50 or less HP, and it's generally pretty easy to find rare candy, so currently I do not have a Dusclops in my list. 2 Fan Rotoms, if you're only playing one of these, you're crazy. If you prize your only Fan Rotom, your deck turns into a bag of bricks, so for prizing reasons only, and I guess to be able to have it in your opening hand more often, got 2 of those guys. Only a 1-1 Pidgeot line, and you might be wondering, wow, this guy's talking about prizing reasons, but he plays a 1-1 Pidgeot. Pidgeot is not as important as Fan Rotom. If you prize your Pidgeot, you can get by without it by just assembling an army of owls and a Pheasantipede. It's often enough draw power to get you through, especially the fast-paced matchups. Now, you're really going to want Pidgeot against any kind of slower decks like Charizard and Dragapult. You're going to need some consistent draw power on the board, especially in order to sustain Iono. This card is definitely good, and I would set it up every game where you don't prize it, but if you do prize it, it's not the end of the world. 1 Blood Moon, this card is really good for games where you start running out of Pokemon, right? If your opponent is bumping Area 0 underpaths all the time, it's hard to maintain a full bench, especially with your Dusknoirs that knock themselves out. So oftentimes your last knockout is going to come from Blood Moon. Now be careful with this card because you cannot use it with Briar. I've done that before, and it is not a Terra Pokemon. 1 Pheasantipede, amazing card, draw 3, pretty self-explanatory, and we are missing the Squawkabilly EX. Now, my logic on this one is that if I could Nest Ball for Squawkabilly EX, I should probably just Nest Ball for Fan Rotom and be content with 2 Hoot Hoots and 1 Pidgey, and your hand is likely going to be good enough from that, so I don't feel the need to play a Squawkabilly. I'd probably even play like 3 Fan Rotom before I played Squawkabilly EX. Supporter count's pretty standard. Colossus Tenacity is one I'll call out. The card is very good for getting an energy and an Area 0 underpass, which you'll notice we only play 3 of, partially because of the fact that Colossus Tenacity can search it out, and often that's going to be what you're looking to do on turn 2 if you don't have a double turbo in hand. Item counts all maxed out. Nest Ball, Ultra Ball, Poffin, and Rare Candy. Really important to just get your guys out on turn 1 so that on turn 2 you can pop off. 1 Counter Catcher, 1 Feather Ball, and 1 Prime Catcher. I think this is about the right amount of Gust. The games are generally only going to be going for 3 turns, meaning you'll need a maximum of 2 Gusts. So we've got 3 in there, plus 1 just in case. And the Feather Ball is very good for getting Pidgeot, right? On turn 2, if you Ultra Ball for Noctowl, you often don't have enough cards to get Rare Candy Ultra Ball for Pidgeot. So you're going to need the Feather Ball a lot of the time. As much as I hate playing it, it is necessary. 1 Jet Energy as the last interesting card in the deck. I've seen a lot of lists playing Switch and Jet. I don't think that's really necessary. Switch might be better than the Jet Energy. A lot of times you are just going to be playing Prime Catcher on the second turn of the game. I do like the Jet Energy to be able to attack with Blood Moon Ursaluna a bit easier, and also to be able to attack with Fan Rotom in niche scenarios, but this could also just be a switch. But that's going to wrap it up for the synopsis of the list, and now I'm going to get into a specific guide of how to play this deck. With Terapagos Dusknoir, we are going to be adapting our setup based on whether we're going first or second, and what kind of pressure we're under from our opponents, but for the purposes of this video, I'm going to be talking about a game where you go first and are under minimal pressure from your opponent. So, getting into the turn 1, this is the ideal turn 1 board. Now, a couple things to note here is if you're playing against something like Raging Bolt or Miraidon or anything that can threaten your Terapagos EX for a knockout, you're going to want to not put that down, right? You're just going to want to leave that bench spot open. You can even bench another Duskull there, expecting something to get knocked out, then you can bench the Terapagos after. But the other nice thing about this board is that it pretty much all comes from one ball card, right? One Buddy Buddy Poffin can get you Fan Rotom Duskull for the 3 basics, and you're good for the whole turn. Again, one Nest Ball, get the Fan Rotom, get the whole squad, right? Some other things to note here is that Duskull is going to be your best starter, as on the second turn of the game, you can just knock your own Duskull out and move into Terapagos, in case you don't want to use Prime Catcher. Terapagos EX can also be a viable starter as long as you know that you are not going to get your Terapagos EX knocked out on the first turn of the game, because that will put you in a very, very rough spot. Now, if you prize Pidgey, the board's going to be the exact same, except you're just going to put down a third Hoot Hoot instead of Pidgey. Another thing to note is if you can play down Area 0 under depths on turn 1, you probably don't actually want to do it. Even if you were able to fill out your board with, say, more Hoot Hoots and Duskull, it's going to be hard to actually rare candy into 2 Dusknoirs on the second turn of the game, and you risk your Area 0 just getting bumped. And there's only 3 in the list, so I would recommend not putting down the stadium on turn 1 unless you have a read that your opponent doesn't play very many stadiums or they aren't going to bump it. So the nice thing about this turn 1 is that it's going to pivot us into our turn 2 very nicely. Now, a lot of things just changed at once, but what you're going to notice is both of the Hoot Hoots from the previous turn evolved into Noctowl, which is going to get you your Rare Candy Featherball for Pidgeot, and from there you're going to be able to combo off potentially Rare Candy into another Dusknoir on the second turn of the game, maybe play Prime Catcher if that's what's necessary. One of the most powerful things to do on the second turn of the game against any kind of evolution deck, your Charizards, your Dragapults, your Gardevoirs, it's going to be to pop a Dusknoir. Say they put down 2 Charmanders or 2 Dreepies, right? You can pop a Dusknoir, kill one of them, Prime Catcher, kill the other one with Terapagos EX, and the game is essentially going to end on the second turn of the game. So if you're playing against this deck with Charizard or Dragapult and you're going second, you're going to need to get down 3 Charmanders, or you are probably not going to attack for the whole game. Now, additionally, you'll notice we benched a bunch more basics. This is generally the optimal turn 2 board, with the idea that your Area 0 under depths is going to get bumped, and or your Terapagos EX is going to get knocked out. Going into turn 3, this is what your board is going to look like. Now, the only other thing I would consider here is potentially benching Pheasantipity instead of one of these Hoot Hoots or instead of the Duskull. Just really going to depend on the game and whether or not you feel like you're going to need 2 Dusknoirs going into your next turn. A lot of the times you're only actually going to need 1, but sometimes having the ability to pop 2 Dusknoirs on the following turn is going to be very valuable. However, this board is vulnerable to having the Pidgeot knocked out and an Iono played. You are still going to have access to your Noctowls, but you might not necessarily have one in hand. And additionally, on this turn 2, if you popped a Dusknoir, if you attacked with Terapagos, you should be heading down to 4 prizes. You could even be going lower. You could be even going to 3 prizes, depending if your opponent had some kind of squishy EX Pokemon. So keep in mind that you're on 3 or 4 prizes going into your turn 3. Now, turn 3, good game. You're going to be winning the game on turn 3 a lot of the time, especially against any deck that actually knocked you out. A lot of times you're going to knock out 2 of your opponent's Charmanders on turn 2, and they're actually not going to knock out your Terapagos. So at that point, the game is going to go for an extra turn. You're not going to win the game on turn 3 without using Briar, most likely, and Pheasantipede as well. So if your opponent doesn't knock out your Terapagos on turn 2, you can just attack again, take another prize, and further your lead. But if they knock out your Terapagos, they're going to be going down to 3 prizes, assuming you popped a Dusknoir on something turn 1. And now you're just going to be looking to win the game, right? Say you have 4 prizes remaining in a spot like this. With this board, you're going to go crazy, right? Knocked Owl, get a bunch of combo pieces. One of my favorite combos is just Rare Candy Dusknoir. Dusknoir, kill a 1 prizer. It's going to bring us down to 3, put our opponent on 2. And then we're just going to play Briar and knock out a 2 prize Pokemon, something like a Pheasantipede, a Squawkabilly, Teal Mask Ogrepon with our Terapagos for 3 prizes and the game. Another thing you can do on this turn if your Briar is prized or you don't feel like using it for whatever reason, you can also just make 2 Dusknoirs on this turn, right? So if your opponent's on 3 prizes, you can just crack 2 Dusknoirs, kill a 2 prize Pokemon of some kind, and then use Blood Moon or Terapagos as well to take a 2 prize knockout and close out the game. Those are my favorite 2 ways to take 4 prizes on this turn of the game. Also, if you're able to take more prizes on turn 1, sometimes this is going to look a little bit different, but this is the essential game plan you're going for every game. Now that I've explained the general game plan, I'm going to be hopping into live and showing you guys a sample game with this deck just to show you how crazy and fast it ends games. Alright, hopping into a game here on live. Our opening hand looks pretty solid. Just going to go ahead and get Fan Rotom and Fan Call, get the whole squad. Hoot Hoot Pidgey. I'm going to double check some of our one-ofs are in there. Mostly Prime Catcher. Okay, and the Chorus. Chorus is in there as well. Briar. Looks good to me. Okay, get all the guys. And next turn, we're going to have Ultra Ball to grab the Terapagos, and then we can pop off from there. So, pretty optimal start so far. We'll see what our opponent's able to do. Seems like they're just playing a normal Charizard deck. Like I mentioned in the earlier part of the video, we're just going to be looking to double kill their Charmanders on turn 1, especially if they only bench 2. Now, our opponent is actually playing 50 HP Pidgey. This is one of the Pokemon you can actually knock out with Dusklops. So, a little upset I don't have that, but should be doing alright here. I think I'm just going to do the legendary triple Ultra Ball here for the Terapagos. And we'll see what I can get going from there. Then we're going to Noctowl. This is going to get me double. Oh, okay. I think I see the vision. I'm just going to go ahead and get double Rare Candy. Yeah, I think I might just go Rare Candy Research, actually. That seems a little stronger. I'm actually just going to attack with the Fan Rotom this turn. Yep, seems good to me. Just because I naturally have the Jet Energy, and I think this is going to be just as good as attacking with the Terapagos itself. I'm going to remove all of his Charmanders this turn. As long as I research into like anything even remotely playable. Yep, there's Area 0. And now we can just go ahead, Pidgeot for another Noctowl. And that's going to get us the Dusknoir that we need. Here we go. And we've got a bunch of Pokemon in our hand too, which is nice. Just a bench. And replenish those Hootoots like I was talking about earlier. Yep, just Rare Candy Ultra Ball, as long as I have a Dusknoir in the deck, which we do. Okay, let's put this Poffin. I'm just going to get down more Hootoots. Okay, looks like I prized a Hoot. A little bit annoying. It's okay, we're just going to go ahead and get the one guy. And Ultra Ball is going to discard. I think Terapagos Dusknoir is fine. And I'm just going to go ahead and grab the Dusknoir and take out all of my opponent's Charmander on the first turn of the game, right? This is the power of the deck. Why I think the deck's so unfair. My opponent's really not going to get a chance to even play the game here. Maybe they'll be able to make some kind of recovery, but I kind of doubt it. The one downside of attacking with Fan Rotom here instead of Terapagos is that we can get knocked out by a Pidgeot attack, which is kind of random and annoying. Right? If they use a double turbo, we get knocked out. I have this Nest Ball. I don't think there's any point playing it. I guess I could have got Fez down. That maybe would have been a good idea, but I don't think I'm going to get knocked out anyways, so don't really see a need for Fez. And I wouldn't be surprised to just see our opponent lock in the concede here. Okay, no, looks like they're going to go ahead and try and play it out, so that's good to see that we'll have a competitive game. Something else that's worth noting here is if I didn't have Pidgeot, this position could be a little concerning, right? Just like one Iono or like an unfair stamp, and I could just brick out for the rest of the game. But with this Pidgeot, while my opponent's kind of doing nothing, I have a lot of consistency. I can just keep getting out additional Dusknoirs and energies and whatever else I need. What is annoying is that we've used research and I only play one, so that's not going to be an option that's available to us, right? We can't quick search for research. And our opponent's just putting down a whole whack of free 2-prize Pokemon. We love to see it. And they're just going to retreat into it too. Okay, so I think on my next turn, I'm just going to look to Rare Candy out another Dusknoir, kill this Charmander, and then I'll just knock out the Fez, and that should be pretty good. I don't know if I even necessarily need to do that. Okay, Iono. That's fine. I was pretty happy with that hand, but imagine, yeah, this looks like a completely playable set of cards as well. We have Noctowl, so I go Noctowl for Rare Candy Night Stretcher for Dusknoir, Pidgeot for something. I'm just gonna start with. How do I want to play this? I think I'm gonna Noctowl for like Nest Ball. I could also just like boss the Charmander. Maybe that's fine too. Yeah, I think I'll actually just do that. I guess he could Thornton. That could be annoying. Nope, I just think I don't care. Let's just bring in this Charmander. Again, like I mentioned earlier in the video, when your opponent just doesn't retaliate, you don't necessarily need to press your advantage. You can kind of just sit back, collect an extra prize card, and force him to do something, right? In this case, he has no Charmanders. The only way he can really even announce an attack is if he pops a Dusknoir of some kind and then attacks with Radiant Charizard maybe. So feeling pretty good about my position here. I guess something he could do here that I've left myself fairly vulnerable to is could knock out my Pidgeot with like Radzard Defiance Band, and then he could Dusknoir my Hoot Hoot, and my hand would actually be completely dead. So I probably should have done something about that. Maybe just like got a Noctowl and went for a bigger play there, maybe, but should be fine. Seeing as he attached to the Pidgeot EX. Okay, Clap Stadium. Literally don't care. Just gonna get rid of my Noctowls here. We are running low on Pokemon, right? Lots of Noctowl or Hoot Hoots, Duskulls in the discard, so Might be difficult to get these last few KOs, right? Like we could just potentially win on our next turn. Rare Candy Dusknoir. Okay, we're gonna get Iono'd. It's too bad the hand's really broken. And we get a much worse hand. That's okay. So we have quick search, of course, here. I think I'm just gonna grab a Noctowl. Let's see here. Yeah, Noctowl for. Got a bunch of Pokemon. Do I have to Pokemon Apophon for? I don't. I have 1, 2, 3. Could get Prime Catcher Stadium here. Then I'd be out of Gusts. So I'm definitely going to start with this Noctowl. That seems like a good idea. And I'm just going to go ahead and Noctowl right away. I might get like Stadium Research. Seems like a good idea. Oh, I already used my Research, so maybe playing 2 Researches could be a good idea in this deck. Could Night Stretcher for Rare Candy. Okay, I think I know what I'm going to do here. Right? I can just knock out this Pidgeot. What would that put my opponent to? 4 prizes. I would go to 1. Yep, seems like a good idea. Rare Candy Night Stretcher. Oh, I have the Night Stretcher. Rare Candy Area 0. Yep, that's good. Then I can bring back this Dusknoir, pop it on the active. Oh, do I actually deal enough damage to this? 150? Yeah, I should be okay. Grab this. Fez, got an extra Hoot Hoot too. Candy out the Dusknoir. We are leaving ourselves with a 0-card hand here, but I think it should be okay. We're going to have Pidgeot and Pheasantipity. We're also going to have Hoot Hoot, so I think this game's pretty much locked up. They're on 4. So similarly, one of the plays I mentioned earlier where you can, if you have 4 prizes, you can Briar, Dusknoir, kill something, and then take 3, but since we're going to 1 prize here, they're not going to be able to use Briar. They're not going to be able to pop any Dusknoirs. And I think we've successfully rushed our way to 1 prize before our opponent even got to attack. Yeah, I don't really know what they can do. We also have Blood Moon in deck, which can potentially end the game for us if necessary. We can also end the game with Blustery Wind, right? Just like Prime Catcher, double Turbo Energies game. Oh yeah, we could go Quick Search for Noctowl, Noctowl for Colress Prime Catcher. It gets us the energy in the boss and should win us the game here. Okay, cool. He's just going to go ahead and knock out the Terapagos, and we're going to do... Oh, I guess I... Oh, no, I can just Nest Ball for another Terapagos. That should be fine. Oh, and there's the Chorus. Okay, just Fez. Okay, cool. Quick Search. Grab Prime Catcher. And that's going to be the game here. And our opponent conceded. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video on Terapagos Dusknoir. A lot of your games are just going to look like that, where you run over your opponent and they barely get to announce an attack. So, looking forward to playing some interactive Pokemon at the next couple of regionals. Other than that, I'll see you guys in the next one.